I'm gonna take the Beat on a road trip. I have to do this because my Civic is currently not functional. But first, I need to get some things fixed on the Beat, so let's do that. The rain highlights the first issue with road tripping the Beat. It is a soft top, and it leaks. It's not terrible, but it does leak. But the bigger issue is that you can't see a damn thing out of the rear vinyl window. It's super sun damaged, so there's no visibility. If you look through there, you can't. You just can't see anything. Step one is done. I have oil filters. I picked up one for both of my cars. I don't need to do the oil change on the Civic anytime soon, but it's nice to have, and then I don't have to wander over here when it's time to do the oil change. I use Honda OEM oil filters on both of my cars. They're both Hondas, so why wouldn't I? They're cheap, and they work well, and I recommend them. And they're blue, which is a great color. So we've got oil filters, head home, and I'll talk over what the other little issues and quirks I'm gonna have for a road trip in this car are, because there's a fair few. The rain's mostly stopped, so I'm gonna put the top down. Such a fun car. I love it. I am now back home. I had some lunch and I've changed into clothes. I don't mind getting dirty. Next steps are to get the car up on jack stands, drain the oil, put the new oil filter on, refill it. It's an oil change. It's really not that hard. It's only marginally different than a traditional front engine transverse mount motor, and that's because the oil fill is right here. So while we wait for the oil to drain, I figured I'd talk through a few of the little things I identified as potential challenges with road tripping this car down to St. George. It's a tiny vehicle, and it tops out at 84 miles an hour. Normally I'd take this road trip and I would just hop on the freeway and I'd head south and it wouldn't be a big deal. It's like a 4-hour drive. This thing, I don't want to be on the freeway. I don't want to be on the highway. I don't want to be by semi-trucks. I don't want to be by big vehicles. I don't even want to be next to a Camry, because it's kind of scary. It's very small. I'm gonna be taking an alternate route instead, where I won't have to be on the freeway, and instead I'll be on just kind of minor roads most of the way down there. They should be really pretty. Should be some really fun driving. It'll take me a bit longer. I think it can do it. The car runs really well. The few things I need to take care of before I can go are what we've already started, the oil change, and then just check fluids. I need to check the antifreeze, check the tire pressure, you know, basic things you'd want to check on any car before you go for a road trip. So yeah, that's what'll be taken care of. I don't foresee that you'll have to see a great deal more of the prep work for the road trip, but yeah, I love this car and I'm really excited to take it for a long drive. It will be a drive full of smiles and happiness, and I just, if you ever get the opportunity to drive or own a Honda Beat, take it, because they are God's gift to mankind. Well, they're actually Soichiro Honda's gift to mankind, and as far as I'm concerned, he is God. Okay, we've had a significant change of plans. Today is Thursday. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I got off work early today because there wasn't much going on. Decided to head home. And I've decided I'm gonna head down to St. George today, right now, instead of waiting until tomorrow morning, which is when I was planning on leaving. So I tossed some stuff in bags. I've got my backpack, I've got a duffel bag with some clothing in it, and I've got my tools, and I'm gonna hit the road. I don't know how this is gonna go. I fingers crossed it goes well. The car feels really good after the oil change. I'm really excited. I have never driven this car this far, and I think I've picked a good route, so yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna go well. You're along for the ride. Nervousness is gone. Yeah, I love this car. I'm so happy that I'm finally taking the opportunity to take it on a nice long drive. Last weekend I had the opportunity to go down to another part of southern Utah with some friends of mine. I chickened out on taking this thing, so it feels really good to be driving it. Oh God, I love it. For that trip, I ended up riding with another friend, and it was a lovely time. We had a grand old time. It was a lot of fun. He has an old Toyota Starlet. It was an absolute joy. I'll throw a photo up of his car so you can see what that is. But driving in his car gave me the confidence to take this thing, because his car is an 81, this thing's a 91, and this thing is just, it's a little newer. It feels really good. The suspension is nice on it. It's got AC, it's got heat, it's got cooling. It's a pretty comfortable car. The only big limit it has is, well, it has a few. Space is a big limit. As you can tell by the duffel bag, the backpack, and just all the stuff I have occupying the passenger seat, you don't have much space in this car to take other people with you. Speed is a big issue because it tops out at 84 miles an hour. So taking the freeway, the highway, isn't really super realistic. I'm now kind of outside of the major city, and I'm finally getting to stretch the legs of this little car. Such a fun little vehicle. The scary thing is when you're on the road with big cars like that semi, you feel pretty tiny, and you know that if they were to do something wrong, or you were to make a mistake and you were to collide with them, you'd be dead. Further and further south, but yeah, it's pretty bad. I haven't hydroplaned it all yet, but that's a concern. The tires I have are not great with a ton of water, but I think we'll be good. I've made some good progress. You'll see right here above me the Sinclair sign. This is an old historic gas station. It's a really popular destination spot for local motorcycle clubs. I'm about like an hour and a half out of Salt Lake City, where I started, and the next town is going to be Eureka. I'm going to stop and get some food and fill up my gas tank while I'm there, and then we'll continue south. It's not clear yet. There's still some bad weather, but it's not nearly as bad as it was. So yeah, hopefully it continues to improve. Okay, so I've stopped for the first time to grab gas. This is one of the best things about this car, is that it doesn't take much. That was about a half tank. Total tank size about 6 gallons, so yeah. I think the most money I've ever spent on a fill up in this car, somewhere in the neighborhood of like $15. It's awesome. Car's doing well. We're getting back on the road. Sunlight! Look at that! Blue sky, sunlight, and the nice loud rip of an inline parade. So, I may have spoken too soon. The weather is terrible. Like, very terrible. I just saw a group of motorcyclists that did not look like they were having a good time. Okay, wow, this is bad. So there's now there's a light layer of snow on the road. Wow. And I'm now feeling some weirdness with my steering. Ah, lovely. I really, really hope this improves in the next little while, because I'm not certain I can drive all the way there in snow. Actually, if I'm looking ahead, it looks like only maybe a mile or so out, the snow is cleared out again. We've got clear skies. See that? We've got some blue in the sky. Let's hope that holds out. Yep, already the layer of snow on the ground is diminishing, and I think we're gonna be good to go again. Utah has the weirdest weather, I swear to God. I just passed through Delta, Utah. I'm about, I don't know, 3 hours out from St. George. Car's feeling great. We've got clear skies. We've got the window open. I'm having a great time. I'm listening to an audiobook. This is awesome. So I'll admit, this isn't the most comfortable car in the world. I've been in it for like 3 or 4 hours now, and it's not terrible, and I fit it really well. The only major complaint I have is that there's no lumbar support at all. And I have a blanket that I keep in the car that I could fold up and put back there as lumbar support. But I've shoved it underneath all of the stuff I have in my passenger seat. So getting it out is just more work than it's worth. Additionally, there's no cruise control, which is kind of a nuisance, if I'm honest. My right leg was getting tired earlier. It felt good to get out of the car and walk around a little bit. And lastly, it's kind of loud in here, as you can probably tell. I think I feel like I'm yelling at the camera. Tesla that just drove by pointed at me as he saw me. I think that this is probably the only Honda Beat that will ever drive these roads, ever. I don't know if I can capture just how special this experience is. Not that many people ever get to drive these cars. And to have the opportunity to drive one of these just like hundreds of miles, I don't know if I've stopped smiling the entire drive. I cannot overstate how much I love this car. At long last, I've made it. I am brutally exhausted. I'm also hungry, and I'm just kind of fatigued and battered. But the car did great. We are now here. Very pretty. I don't really have much more to say. All right, it's the following day. I have slept, I have energy, it's great. The car is dripping oil. I'm not sure how oil got to right there underneath the bumper. But yeah, it's dripping some oil. There's some more oil you can see under there. The oil level was pretty low, which I kind of expected since it does burn a fair bit of oil. So I'm topping that off. I've got a container of oil here. I've got a nice little route planned for today. I'm gonna go out around a reservoir that's located over that way and get some footage and enjoy driving, and hopefully nothing goes wrong, but I will be bringing my tools with me just in case.
It sound right, boys.
Today is Sunday. I've had a wonderful time down here in St. George. It's been a pleasant getaway from my day-to-day life up in Salt Lake. I am packed up. I've got my unicycle here. I didn't bring this with me on the way down. It was instead in my dad's truck, but I want to have it at home with me so I can continue to ride until my parents get back home later this week. I'm going to be bringing that home with me, which makes packing a little bit more difficult. It's taking up a lot of space. I'm gonna go ahead and top off the oil, check all my other fluids, and then I think I'll be getting on the road. I figure now is a good time for an update. The drive is going really well. I have stopped here in, let's see, I'm in between, I think Milford is that way and Delta is that way. I'm about halfway between the two things, and for the last about 10 miles I've been like, I need to pull off, because I needed to pee. So I found somewhere to pee and I'm feeling much better now. But yeah, the car is doing really well. My biggest concern was that I might overheat it. I don't really know why I was worried about that, as it hasn't been an issue whatsoever. But I was worried about it. It's doing great. You can see that it is absolutely filthy. The back end is covered in a fine layer of dust and soot, and kind of oil as well from the exhaust. It burns oil. It burns a lot of oil. So it spits that all out the back end as it's going and leaves a nice little layer of grime on the back end. I thought it might be funny as well while I'm here to show you how I've packed. Yeah, that's the problem. One of the problems with road tripping in a K car is you don't have room for anything. So I have my unicycle sitting on top of my duffel bag, which is sitting on top of my backpack and my tool bag. And here's my tripod. It all kind of fits in there, and only just. I'm home, safe, sound, and very happy to be out of the car. 6 hours in any car will take its toll on you. 6 hours in a car this small and frankly kind of rough to drive will take one hell of a toll on you. It did really well for basically the entire drive. There was no major issues. There weren't even any minor issues. I was pretty nervous leaving on Thursday that I was gonna have all sorts of issues, or I was gonna get stranded somewhere and I wasn't gonna be able to fix the car and I was gonna have to get it towed home. I've never driven that car that far, as I've said, so I wasn't really sure, but it did it, and it did it really well. So I'm super proud of the car, and I'm really, really happy I decided to take it. I wanted to offer a few afterthoughts about the whole experience and share a couple little findings I had. I got about 36 miles to the gallon, so that's one thing. Not terrible, not amazing. For a car this size, you'd probably expect more, but I'm pleased with 36 miles to the gallon. I think that if it had a larger motor and I wasn't so close to maxing that motor out at all times, it'd probably do a lot better. When I was driving on, you know, the faster roads, I would be at about 7,000 to 8,000 RPM, which is right near the red line of 9,000 RPM. So it didn't have much more to give. And that brings me to the second little problem I noticed. Passing kind of sucked. If I was behind an RV and they were going maybe a couple miles per hour slower than I wanted to go, I'd have to find a really good opportunity to pass them where I'd be able to get by them down a hill or somewhere that enabled me to have a long stretch to accelerate along as I went by them. So that was another place where power was kind of an issue. It wasn't really a big deal. I don't mind sitting behind cars that are going marginally slower, but it got kind of annoying when it meant that I couldn't have fun on the curvy sections of road because I wasn't able to pass the slow cars on the straighter sections of road because I just didn't have a good enough opportunity. I'll quit rambling. Thank you for watching along. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next video.
It sound right, boys.